I'm Dean. I'm the dad.
I'm Laura. I'm the mom.
And I'm Krysta. I'm the daughter.
And together we are Family Plot. That was very nice. That was cool. Well, welcome to another show. We apologize if anyone's voice is not where you think it should be. We had to rent a U-Haul today to get all of our stuff out of the place, and Laura and Krysta did a lion's share of the work, so they are very tired.
Very tired.
Exhausted.
Yes.
And I got the fairly simple job of just trying to push the pieces they were bringing in into place. And so I'm not as tired, although with my heart condition, I shouldn't even be doing that. But whatever. Well, we're just going to do what we do.
That's right.
He's stubborn and wouldn't let me help.
We can only do what we can do.
Right. And I'm good at being stubborn. Your mom even says so.
You are definitely one of your strong points.
As stubborn as a mule, Mom would say.
Well, actually, whenever one of us is being stubborn, that isn't her, because she can be stubborn sometimes. But whenever anyone else in the family is stubborn, she'll go, "Okay, Bose."
That's true.
Yeah.
Like
Which
she
is
thinks.
why I say okay, Bose.
Which is why she thinks it's a family trait, you know.
Because it is a family trait.
Yeah, kind of.
How does she know?
Logan isn't stubborn. Ian isn't stubborn.
Why are you lying to yourself, Dad? It's too late. You can't lie anymore.
It's too late.
Dad, no.
Too late.
We're gonna get copyrighted.
Too late
Dad,
for goodbye.
Dad, please.
All right, so
Anyway.
Oh,
Crazy.
did I tell you, Mom, that I stabbed myself in the finger? I stabbed myself in the finger.
don't do that.
Sorry you stabbed yourself in the finger.
Heard. I was just like, oh, do we have Band-Aids? And you were just like, not that I know of. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just bleed then.
Well, I didn't know where any Band-Aids were.
Oh,
I knew where some were in the old place, which means they're probably in
actually,
the
they
van.
probably are. You're probably right.
Probably in the van right now, but
I don't know if Blue brought the Band-Aids.
she might not have. All right. So, where were we? Oh, yes. Open. We're opening the show. We haven't even got to the intro to the show yet.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. That's great.
One of those days.
Yeah. This is going to be a bit roundabout, but it's okay.
We're just talking here.
Yeah.
Family Plot.
So, typical stuff. You want to help out the show, you can do it financially through Patreon with a monthly donation, kind of broken down into 3 different groups. And I believe that donations are 1, 5, and 10. But, you know, if you can't do a monthly donation, we understand that. You can certainly do a Buy Me a Coffee, which is a one-time donation. Yeah, we're set up for that. And if you can't do that, which, hey, we don't hold it against anybody. We've been without money more often than we've been with it. You know, share the show. If you enjoy the show, share it on social media. And if you don't enjoy it,
Keep
keep it to yourself. Exactly. That's what we say here. So, what are we doing tonight? Tonight, we head back to 1957 and 58 and look at the city of Durban in South Africa. Due to a combination of factors, the coast of Durban, located on the Indian Ocean, became home to several species of sharks, and their interactions with humans usually did not end well for the humans. Tonight, we dig into the details of Black December and the shark attacks off the coast of Durban.
Wow.
Yes. Now, normally we would have Krysta's weird facts, but with us actually doing the business of moving today, and our Krysta just didn't have time to look anything up. So she'll have facts on puppets or Muppets or something next week, right, Krysta?
Yeah.
How you feeling today, Krysta?
You know what? It's been a long day, but I'm glad that I got to actually sit down and just be here.
Yes.
Well, being here is better than being someplace else. I'll tell you that.
There you go.
Dad's cat is going absolutely insane.
Apollo doesn't like the moving stuff around. It bothers him, which means I'm going to have to hold him some more later because he gets bothered.
He doesn't like all this stuff around. He's like, what the hell?
He gets... Krysta, we're PG-13.
Yeah,
you can't say...
PG-13.
You can't say H-E double hockey sticks.
Sure she can.
I'm not 12 anymore, Dad. God. You said the F word on here. I hope you remember that.
No, I have no remembrance of that is all.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything you want to talk about, seeing as you didn't have facts today? Just anything on your mind? Anything that you're thinking about?
I mean, no, not really. If I had anything, I would have wrote it down, but I've had a pretty boring life, so.
You know what? I don't think you've had a boring life. I mean, you went from, at the age of 3 or 4 or 5, where mom couldn't even take you in someplace that had a nutcracker.
So, we don't talk about that.
To now you go like, ooh, that's pretty.
Ooh, that's pretty. Yeah. Because some things are pretty. And some things aren't. Those things we just ignore.
So, I think you've had an amazing life. Plus, you were very sick when you were a baby, and now...
Oh, it was a miracle that I lived. Hi.
I should have been there for you. I love you so much. I love my Krysta. Okay, I'm going to cry, so that can't happen on air, so we got to talk about other stuff.
You've cried on air before, I think.
Nah, no, not happening.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I might have had an allergy attack. I don't cry.
Live. Everyone cries, Dad. It's okay.
No, everyone poops. Not everyone cries.
Dad!
What?
Everyone cries. Stop that.
I don't.
Lies.
To be true, I don't even poop. I take long pees.
You can't change it now!
I didn't change anything I want.
No!
It's my podcast. I edit it. And I can edit out anything I say.
No.
Yes.
It's not just your podcast. You have to have permission from other members first.
Not until y'all join in helping me edit the podcast.
Fine then, I will.
I edit it on my own.
I like editing things.
I get to decide what stays and what goes.
Listen, I edit my art and other stuff all the time. So I can help edit a darn podcast. Plus, it might even be good for me if I'm going to be a future game master. D&D game master.
Are you going to be a future game master?
I want to.
Have you downloaded D&D Beyond?
Yes.
That'll help you a lot. Lots of good stuff in there.
Yeah. I know.
Doot. Alrighty. So let's talk about Durban, where this stuff happens.
The sharks were?
Yeah.
Durban.
It's the third most populous city in South Africa after Johannesburg and Cape Town.
Okay.
It is called in Zulu, eThekwini, and I hope I'm saying that right, which means the port.
Okay.
Prior to being called Durban, it was dubbed Port Natal, partially because it is Africa's largest seaport, and partially from its location on the Natal Bay in the Indian Ocean. Now, evidence from the Drakensberg Mountains indicate that tribes of hunter-gatherers have lived in the area since 100,000 BC.
Wow.
So this place has been populated for a while.
Right.
These people lived in the area until they were displaced, absorbed, or exterminated by other cultures or absorbed by other cultures moving into the area. So the Zulu people who lived in the area kept oral traditions about the area, but nothing was written down about the area until Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese explorer, passed close to the area in 1497 while searching for a route from Europe to India. Because back in the day, people in Europe wanted Indian goods and wanted them badly, but India was a heck of a long way away. And the overland route took forever. And it had other problems, like you went through territory that was controlled by Muslims, and Muslims didn't always like Christians wandering through their territory. They could get right upset about it. So a lot of sailors looked for overseas routes that avoided these areas,
Sure.
to avoid getting poked with sticks and spears and swords and death in hundreds of nasty ways.
Those little issues that nobody likes to mess with.
Now, he passed the port at Christmas time, right? Mm-hmm. And so he named the area Natal, which is Portuguese for Christmas.
Ah, very nice.
In the late 1600s, the Dutch East India Company ship, the Stevenese, wrecked, and many of the survivors made their way to what would eventually become Durban. Here they met the Abambo people. I hope I'm saying that's right. It's Abambo. But I don't think it's Abambo. I don't think that it's pronounced like that. Could be wrong. Led by Chief Langabal. Now, the Dutch survivors lived among them, learning both their language and their customs. The chief told them that the people called the land Embo. Some months later, when a ship arrived to rescue these men, they purchased the area for 1,650 pounds. Eventually, the land was actually colonized in the 1820s, eventually becoming modern-day Durban. And it was called Durban because it's named after the first mayor, whose last name was Durban, D'_URBAN.
Gotcha.
And so they just named it Durban minus the apostrophe.
Fair enough.
So that's how this place came to be inhabited.
I see.
Is that these people sold it, and the weird thing is they sold it to the Dutch, but eventually it became colonized by mostly the British.
Well, those Brits, they like to...
So, leading up to Black December, there's some other stuff we have to talk about before we get into the story. Now, there was a whaling station not too far from Durban, where in 1957, they were doing big business in catching and killing fin whales, sperm whales, and cell whales. And these are the three biggest whales of the ocean. And whale hunting, even in the 1950s, was a bloody business.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like hooking a trout where there's almost no blood.
Right.
Or
and I mean, still, even today, whaling is. I think that it's.
Well,
I think that there's less now.
I think whaling is outlawed by almost every culture, except possibly the Japanese. At one point in the 90s, the Japanese were trying to bring whale back, and the government was like, whale meat is tasty, like doing PSAs about it. Just like for a while, there's a large rodent called a nutria, has orange teeth, usually lives in swamps. But they're not native to the country. They were imported by a guy who thought to raise them for their pelts. And then he was raising in Louisiana. There was a big hurricane. It opened most of the cages. The nutria got out, and they lived very well in those swamps.
Right.
And so the government, trying to get rid of them, was like, well, let's hunt them. And so to encourage people to hunt them, there was a bunch of PSAs about eating nutria, because nutria are nutritious, was one of them.
Wow.
Please do not make puns about food. You are going to upset.
I
know. I was talking to the general people who said that.
Well, it was some ad people that were working for the government trying to get people to eat nutria.
Yeah.
So, whale hunting was a bloody business even in the 1950s. Even though it had come a long way, it was still very bloody business. And because it was a bloody business, it often drew sharks that were looking for an easy meal.
Well, sure.
Now, 1957 had seen several technological achievements in whaling that made capturing and killing of whales even easier. So they were catching a lot of them.
Right.
Furthermore, the season had been quite rainy recently, which led to floods that washed livestock out to the Bay of Natal and made the water murky with dirt and other agricultural runoff. Plus, Durban had recently seen a lot of resorts spring up in the area, and it became quite popular with European travelers.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the three factors that are going to interconnect. And it begins on December 18th, 1957, when 16-year-old bodyboarder is attacked by a shark of unknown species.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah. Now, it's not a fatal attack. It severs his leg just above the knee, but he's actually able to make it back to shore. Now, at the time, that attack didn't cause much of a stir because shark attacks were known to happen in the area around Durban. They still are to this day. It's because of, you've got the whaling station that was there. And while that is gone, you still have the agriculture in the area, and occasionally the river delta gets all murky and the sharks can't see, but they can sure smell.
Right.
And they can sure tell when someone or something is splashing, and so they tend to go for things that splash, thinking it's a fish in trouble.
Sure.
So that's the first attack.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely.
And again, we don't know what kind of shark did it. Now, 2 days later, December 20th, 1957, 15-year-old Alan Green wades into the water only to be attacked by an unknown species of shark. Now, more than likely, even though we don't know, more than likely it was a bull shark, because bulls are A, very aggressive, and B, they're not afraid of shallow water. Like you won't see a great white that short close to shore too often. But and while it's possible it could have been a nurse or a couple of other shore-moving species, most scientists think bull, because a nurse wouldn't have savaged him the way this did. When a bull shark attacks, it goes for the gusto, is what it does, and that can lead to people getting really hurt.
Right.
Whereas nurses and some other sharks tend to, want to get a mouthful, chew it up before they go back. So, like I said, so it probably wasn't a nurse or a lemon shark, more likely a bull. So that was December 20th, just 2 days after the first attack. And that's why they call it Black December. This happened in December. Africa doesn't have the same seasons we do. So there's no snow in most of Africa in December. There's no snow in most of Africa anyway, except for some of the mountain areas.
Yeah. That's how it goes for some places. Like California doesn't have snow. It has very cold weather plus snow and mountains.
So on December 23rd, 23-year-old local man Vernon James Berry is floating in the bay and fatally attacked by a shark, species unknown. And because he was in the bay and floating, hard to say what got him. If you ask me, I'm going to say great white, because great whites are ones for test bites. Oh, they love a good test bite. But a test bite from a great white tends to separate you in pieces, and that's not good. It's not a good way to live. So over the course of 5 days, 3 people have been attacked, 2 have been killed.
Lovely.
On December 26th, 1957, 20-year-old Donald Webster is skin diving off the coast of Natal when he is attacked and bitten in the head and neck area. Miraculously, he survives his injuries. And he doesn't know what species of shark attacked him because he wasn't paying attention when it came to bite him. He just saw teeth and a lot of his own blood.
Sure.
So, from the 18th to the 26th is 8 days. 4 attacks, half of them fatal. And now, let's take a moment for a word from our sponsors.
Mom!
I feel sponsored. And tired.
Yay! I hear you there.
I also hear you there. Oh my god, I'm exhausted.
So, as we said, up till this point, in a little over a week, 4 people have been attacked by sharks. And half of them have been killed. So, at this point, people are starting to cancel reservations and not show up.
Well, sure.
Or they're leaving early. And Durban doesn't like this. Durban is losing money and they don't like it.
Right.
So they decide they're going to try to stop the madness. To say the locals didn't understand sharks was a bit of an understatement.
Right.
Many of the resorts were losing business as people left, as I said. Or they either left early or they canceled their reservations altogether out of fear. The locals were seeing their livelihood impaired and tried their best to protect the tourists and their livelihood. First, they installed posts and rope nets to defend the beaches from the shark attacks. That didn't work because the surf in Durban, pretty powerful. There's a reason people like to surf there. And so what that did was it took the rope nets and it made them all whooshy, Well, when you got whooshy nets, things can swim under them, through them. Sharks got in when they wanted to. Then, because that wasn't working, they got the local Navy to drop depth charges to kill the sharks.
Right.
Well, as you can imagine, it didn't kill a lot of sharks. But it did kill a lot of fish, which drew more sharks because sharks like dead fish.
Well, yeah.
You're ringing the dinner bell and telling them, hey, there's a free meal.
Sure.
So, and that was part of the problem as well. They just didn't understand sharks at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so the things they did to try to help were either no good or it made the problem worse.
Right.
So, Krysta, you want to go swim in the Bay of Natal?
Nope.
I'm good.
You sure?
I'm not even going to let her answer that question because I'm not letting her swim in the Bay of Natal.
You know, I just don't like sharks. So, yeah, no.
I'm not a big fan of swimming in the ocean, period. I don't like all the things that are in the water.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, there was a time I could have swam in the ocean, and then since then, I've seen at least a dozen videos of places from California to Florida where, you know, you see this overview of all these swimmers and all the sharks swimming around them. Nope. I don't need to be near anything that has a bite radius no. I'm a ham steak in the water. And, you know, I don't want a bull shark going, yummy, I'm going to bite him on the butt. I like my butt. I'd like to keep it. So, yeah, that's,
Yeah. And it's not just the sharks, like jellyfish.
And stonefish.
Yeah,
just no.
Yeah, I'm still a little shook. I'm still a little shook from that episode in the blue, or from that scene in the Blue Lagoon where she stepped on the
Yeah, stonefish are so bad that like they cause so much pain. People will drown themselves to get away from it. Nope, don't want to deal with that.
No, thank you.
So, back into the timeline, just off Margate Beach, which is the same beach where Vernon James Barry was killed, 14-year-old Julia Painter is waiting out when she becomes attacked by an unknown species of shark. It separates her arm just above the elbow while causing several other injuries. She survives the attack. Again, we don't know the species, but again, it's likely a bull because it happened in shallow water and it's a fairly vicious attack.
Yeah. If she was just wading out into the water. So,
and then later, an unknown man was killed in the Macatana River while fishing. He's killed in the attack, which also severs his right leg just above the knee. We still don't know the species for sure, but again, it seems likely to be a bull shark because it happens in a river, not a... And river sharks are bulls almost exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me put it this way. Rivers are the only sharks I know of that will swim in a river, unless it's brackish water or something.
Right.
And we don't know who this guy is because he's a villager, right?
Right.
And without knowing what village he's from, there's no one to accurately identify him. The villages don't have social security cards or birth certificates for the most part. So the people in his village probably know him as Sam or George or Joe or whatever, but they weren't around when he got attacked.
Right.
And so when the body's found, there's no one that can identify him.
Right.
which I sort of feel bad. You know, the guy's out in the river fishing and then, hey, shark, yuck. And I really feel kind of bad for the shark, too, because, okay, wading close to shore, maybe they can see what they're going after a little better. But we know the rivers were full of sediment and were very murky. So the shark's probably like, ooh, I hear something flopping. Got to be a fish. Nope, it's a person. And he didn't get his meal, you know. Felt bad.
So you're with the shark on this one? Is that what you're saying, babe?
I'm not with the shark, but I can see the you know, like, don't, like the sharks, you know, would I can see them holding up signs. Don't swim in the river. This is where we eat. We can't see you, you know.
Dad.
What?
They probably already eat the signs we're talking about. Please relax. Listen, if they're hungry and they're not, and they have signs and there's no people in there, they're going to eat the signs. They don't have hands. They can't hold up signs.
Now, both those last attacks happened on December 30th. So now it takes us into the
Happy New Year.
Yeah, into the new year, which January 4th, 1958. 42-year-old Derek Garth Prinsloo goes out for a final swim before he returns to his landlocked farm. Right? He's like, I'm going to get in a swim and then I'm leaving. And he had checked out early, which I don't get then why decide to go swim, but he did. And so he wades out into the surf and is attacked and effectively bitten in half by a great white shark. And it's the only shark we know the species of because of witnesses at the scene.
Was it a good meal, Sharky boy?
Probably not. Sharks
don't like the taste of blood, but, you know, if it's the only food there, that's...
I was going to say, I don't think sharks care for the taste of people that much. They'll go for them if they're hurting or whatever, but they just... But you get, you know, it's like the shark smells blood, that's it. It's and the water's full of blood because of all the god darn whalers.
Right.
Which is another reason that there should not be any whaling. Plus, I like whales, so stop killing them.
Yeah.
If you kill all the whales, we don't have sea monsters anymore. So, a couple months go by, and they think, oh, it's all over. It's not.
Oh. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water?
Exactly. So, on March 3rd, 1958, 29-year-old Nicholas Badenhorst is swimming off Port Edward Beach when he's attacked by an unknown shark. His resultant injuries were fatal. He was able to swim back to the beach, but he bled out on the beach.
Oh, poor Aiden.
And then, well, it was Nicholas Badenhorst.
Badenhorst. I thought you said his name was Aiden. I'm sorry.
And actually, it may be Nicholas. It's got 2 A's at the end instead of 1.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds like it's got some kind of interesting thing going on. Anyway, you were saying.
And on March 5th, 1958, 28-year-old Faye Jones Bester is surfing on the same beach where 15-year-old Alan Green was attacked. One species of shark, she does not survive her injuries. And that is the last attack in the Black December attacks. So over the course...
No, but those weren't all in December, right?
No.
The last 2 were January.
The last 2 were March, and the one before that was January. So yeah, but it's still the same, because it's the same things causing the problem.
But
murky water, lots of blood from the whalers, and way too many beachgoers, and them not understanding that their system doesn't work. Now, on this day, they've made some correction, not today. But all the resorts now have beaches set off by metal poles and metal fencing, which the surf does not move. So they have a protected enclosure for people that sharks can't get into. So that it doesn't happen anymore. I won't say it never happens. Sharks are pretty wily, and
it doesn't happen anywhere near as often.
Right.
Now as it may once have.
Right. And I don't think the whaling station is there anymore. So that puts less blood in the water.
Well, yes.
And sharks will come to blood. So
and puts more whales in the water for the sharks to get.
Yeah, well, it was funny you say that, because there are a group of killer whales, what they call orcas, that have been killing great whites by ripping out their livers.
And got sick of they shit. Sorry, there we go.
So it's a weird thing, because I never figured out, do the livers taste good to these killer whales, or do they know that it's like almost immediately fatal to these sharks, and they're just trying to kill the shark? But they go after them.
Did they just hear about pate and really were in a hurry to try it?
Yeah, pate is goose liver.
Well, maybe they're shark pate.
Maybe. But and the waters around South Africa are where a lot of that happens.
Pate?
No, the killer whales eating great white shark livers.
Ah.
So, yeah.
So
I learned some things.
It is where the pate is.
So
Shark pate.
I occasionally learn some things watching Shark Week. Who knew?
Yeah, I think Shark Week's informative. I like it.
Never watched it.
So, Krysta?
What?
Sharks?
No.
You a fan?
No.
Want to join the Shark fan club?
No.
What do you think of the story? What do you think of
That's probably good that you're not a member of the Shark fan club. I hear their group activities really fight.
Hey, fish are friends, not food.
That's right.
Think of the show today. What do you think?
About sharks. Yes. Sharks. I mean,
So, it was just, I think we've kind of
it's kind of simplistic. Sharks, they don't eat you if you in their territory. They territorial. Oh, sorry, that's not how you say it. Territorial.
And see, I don't think that they are so much. I think that sharks, for the most part, don't want anything to do with humans. I really don't. But if you're bleeding, I think instinct takes over at that point. And I think it is the height of stupidity. Now, and the people that did this can be forgiven, to go swimming in an area where they're killing animals and there's a lot of blood, because that just gets. Well, again, 1957, 1958, they didn't really know any of these things. I mean,
that could have really bit him in the butt.
Yes, it could have bit him in the butt very badly.
He could have got hit in the fin.
So, what do you think, baby?
I think it's just that perfect storm of they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't realize that it was causing an issue. They didn't know enough about the shark's ecological habitat and all of that. And so that's what happened.
Yeah, and the only thing I kind of blame them for is apparently the water was murky because of all the floods and agricultural runoff. And I think it's a bad idea to go swimming anywhere where there's something that can chomp on you,
Absolutely.
but it can't see you.
Right.
So it's now hunting blind.
Yep. And even if it didn't really want you as a meal, it can't tell that it didn't want you.
Yeah. It hears splashing and is like, big fish, chomp. Ew.
Woodchuck! Wait,
Ew.
this isn't woodchuck.
Yeah.
What did I eat?
Exactly.
Ew.
Pretty much.
Yuck.
And I like the story because I respect the heck out of sharks. I fear sharks. Let me be. Like, if I go to an aquarium and it has sharks, like Henry O'Dowerley Zoo has an aquarium, and there's this part where you go walking under it and you look up and you see all these sharks swimming above you. And no, because that could break and then sharks land on you. And maybe, yeah, they're going to die because they're not in the water, but maybe they get a meal before they do. No, I don't want. Plus, the same place, they've got this tube that's connected to all that that's full of jellyfish. No jellyfish where they can come oozing out and touch me with their little stingy thing. No, bad.
I agree with you on that. No, thank you.
That being said, if we went there, I would go in that aquarium again. It's pretty cool. And that part isn't...
I remember I was on a field trip with other students, and I was with a specific work group, and they were just like, oh, why don't we go see the Shark Tank first? I'm like, why are we going to see the Shark Tank?
Wasn't that back in Merced?
It was, but I still remember it.
Oh, no, I was just saying, it's because I want to say at the time, they had captured a great white, and they had it in the Shark Tank. Mm-hmm. Now, eventually, they were going to let it go because you can't keep them in captivity very long. But
no, you can't. And I saw it while I went there, but I also saw tiger sharks, which are much smaller, but, they're still sharks.
No, yeah, no. Tiger sharks. Well, tiger sharks caused a lot of the injuries to the men and killed quite a few on the Indianapolis, if you remember that episode.
Yeah.
So
I remember the tiger shark. That's what I remember. I looked one right in the eye and it went, ah.
As long as those eyes don't go from black to white. Because when a shark bites, its eyes roll over to protect them. So its eyes go white as it bites. That's one of the things people look for. And it happens just before they attack.
Yeah, that's bad.
So you see a shark's eyes go from black to white, you know things aren't going to go well for you.
That's putting it mildly.
And that's our show.
That is our show. Thank you for joining our show.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to Bill Barrett, who does our theme music, and that last name is spelled Behrendt. If you need theme music for a project or music for any project, Bill's your guy. You can reach him at billbarrett@sbcglobal.net. Also to Paige Elmore of Reverie True Crime, who did our logo art along with our own Krysta. Thank you, Paige.
Thank you, Paige.
And Aaron Gnerk of the Big Dumb Fun Show, who continues to promote us locally. Also, thanks to KKFI 90.1, they've been getting some of our episodes, and I don't know that they've played them yet, but they've got a few, so that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
And then next week we've got a very interesting show. We go full paranormal and local history with the Belvoir Winery in Liberty.
Oh boy!
Yeah, and if I remember, that's a show idea you picked.
It may be, and maybe we could even talk to our own little monsters, as our oldest two in the house have had actual experiences at Belvoir.
Cool. So, yep, that's our show.
Bye.
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 And now you're.
Oh, please tell me you got that.